12 Shi'a Islam or Imamiyyah, Arabic, Athna or Ithna, Persian, is the largest branch of Shi'a Islam. The term 12 refers to its adherents' belief in 12 divinely ordained leaders, known as the 12 Imams, and their belief that the Mahdi will be the returned 12th Imam who disappeared and is believed by 12ers to be in occultation. 12ers share many tenets of Shī'ism with related sects, such as the belief in Imams, but the Ismā'īlī and Zaydī sects each believe in a different number of Imams and, for the most part, a different path of succession regarding the Imamate. They also differ in the role and overall definition of an Imam. People of the 12er faith form majorities in Iran, Iraq, Azerbaijan, and Bahrain, a plurality in Lebanon, and significant minorities in Kuwait, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Smaller minorities also exist in Oman, Yemen, Egypt, and Uzbekistan. Alevis in Turkey and Albania and Alawis in Syria share belief in the 12 Imams with 12ers. The 12ers are also known by other names, each connoting some aspect of the faith. The Shi'a, or Shi'a, is commonly used as a synonym for 12ers since this branch comprises the majority group of Shi'a Islam. Jafar refers to 12ers to the exclusion of the Ismā'īlī and Zaydī Shī'ī. This term refers to the majority 12er school of jurisprudence. A minority school, the Akbar, also exists. It is attributed to Jafar al-Sadiq, who the 12ers consider to be their sixth Imam. The founders of the Sunni Hanafi and Maliki schools of jurisprudence narrated hadith from Jafar al-Sadiq. Imam is a reference to the 12er belief in the infallibility of the Imams. Though the Ismā'īlī also accept the concept of Imams, this term is used specifically for the 12ers. Overview. 12ers believe that the descendants of the Islamic prophet Muhammad through his daughter Fatima and his son-in-law are the best source of knowledge about the Quran and Islam, the most trusted carriers and protectors of Muhammad's Sunnah, traditions, and the most worthy of emulation. In particular, 12ers recognize the succession of Muhammad's cousin, son-in-law, the male head of the al-Bayt or people of the Prophet's house and the father of Muhammad's only bloodline, as opposed to that of the Caliphate recognized by Sunni Muslims. 12ers also believe that should have been successor to Muhammad. Although is widely accepted by Muslims in general to be the fourth successor to the Caliphate after Uthman, for the Shi'a, however, he is the first divinely sanctioned Imam, or divinely appointed spiritual leader after the Prophet Muhammad. The seminal event in Shi'a history is the martyrdom in 680 CE of Ali's son Hussein, who led an uprising against the, illegitimate to them, Caliph. For the Shi'a, Hussein came to symbolize resistance to tyranny. Regardless of the dispute about the Caliphate, 12ers recognize the religious authority of the 12 Imams, also called Khafa Ilhi. The Jafar derive their Sharia, or religious law, from the Quran and the Sunnah. The difference between Sunni and Shia Sharia results from a Shia belief that Muhammad assigned to be the first ruler and the leader after him, the Khalifa or steward. Moreover, according to Shia, an Imam or a Caliph cannot be democratically elected and has to be nominated by God. Sunnis believe that their Caliphs were popular and had greater votes, so they were made Caliphs. This difference resulted in the Shia following hadith from Muhammad and his descendants the 12 Imams. Not accepting the examples, verdicts, and adh of Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman ibn Affan, who are considered by sons to be the first three caliphs. Attributing the concept of the Masum infallibility to the 12 Imams or the 14 infallibles, including Muhammad and his daughter Fatima, and accepting the examples and verdicts of this special group. Main doctrines. 12ers believe in the 5 pillars of Islam, as do Sunnis, but categorize them differently. 12er beliefs include the following. Principles of faith, Aslo al-Din. Tawhid, oneness, the oneness of God. Adla, justice, the justice of God. Nubuwah, prophethood. God has appointed perfect and infallible prophets and messengers to teach mankind the religion, that is, a perfect system of how to live in peace, submission to God. Imma, leadership. God has appointed specific leaders to lead and guide mankind. A prophet appoints a custodian of the religion before his demise. Kima, the day of judgment God will raise mankind for judgment, the day of resurrection. Ancillaries of the faith, Fur al-Din. Salat, prayer, meaning connection, establish the 5 daily prayers, called nams in Persian and Urdu. Psalm, fasting, fasting during the holy month of Ramadan, called Rizah in Persian. Zakat, poor rate, charity. Zakat means to purify. Comes, 5th of one's savings, tax. Hajj, pilgrimage, performing the pilgrimage to Mecca. Jid, struggle, struggling to please God. The greater, internal jihad is the struggle against the evil within one's soul in every aspect of life, called Jid Akbar. The lesser, or external, jihad is the struggle against the evil of one's environment in every aspect of life, called Jid Asghar. This is not to be mistaken with the common modern misconception that this means holy war. Writing the truth, Jid bil kalam, struggle of the pen, and speaking truth in front of an oppressor are also forms of jid. Commanding what is just. Forbidding what is evil. Tawalla, loving the al-Bayt and their followers. Tabara, dissociating oneself from the enemies of the al-Bayt. The 12 Imams are the spiritual and political successors to Muhammad, in the 12 or Ithnā ashariyyah branch of Shi'a Islam. According to the theology of 12ers, the successor of Muhammad is an infallible human individual who not only rules over the community with justice, but also is able to keep and interpret the Sharia and its esoteric meaning. The Prophet and Imam's words and deeds are a guide and model for the community to follow. As a result, they must be free from error and sin, and must be chosen by divine decree, or nas, through Muhammad. It is believed in Shi'a Islam that Aql, a divine wisdom, was the source of the souls of the prophets and imams and gave them esoteric knowledge, called hikmah, and that their sufferings were a means of divine grace to their devotees. Although the imam was not the recipient of a divine revelation, but has close relationship with God, through which God guides him, and the imam in turn guides the people. The Imāmate, or belief in the divine guide, is a fundamental belief in Shi'a Islam and is based on the concept that God would not leave humanity without access to divine guidance. According to 12ers, there is always an Imam of the age, who is the divinely appointed authority on all matters of faith and law in the Muslim community. Ali was the first Imam of this line, and in the 12ers view, the rightful successor to the Prophet of Islam, followed by male descendants of Muhammad, also known as Hasnain, through his daughter Fatima. Each Imam was the son of the previous Imam, with the exception of Hussein ibn Ali, who was the brother of Hassan ibn Ali. The 12th and final Imam is Muhammad al-Mahdi, who is believed by the 12ers to be currently alive, and in hiding. The Shi'a Imams are seen as infallible. It is an important aspect of Shi'a theology that they are not prophets, Nabi, nor messengers, Rasul, but instead carry out Muhammad's message. While Sunni Muslims view all religions and groups that accept prophets or messengers after Muhammad to be heathen or heretical, Shi'a Muslims do consider the Imams to be higher in rank than all the prophets and messengers except Muhammad. In 12er eschatology, Muhammad ibn Hassan ibn al, or al-Mahdi, transliteration, Mahd, also Mahdi, guided one, is the 12th Imam and the Mahdi, the ultimate savior of mankind and prophesied redeemer of Islam. 12ers believe that the Mahdi has been hidden by God, referred to as the occultation, and will later emerge to change the world into a perfect and just Islamic society alongside Jesus, Isa, before the Yawm al-Qiyamah, literally Day of the Resurrection or Day of the Standing. Other Shi'a schools, such as Zaydī, Ismā'īlī, and Bahrain, adhere to different Imam successions and do not consider Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Mahdi as Imam. Martyrdom of Hussein ibn Ali. The death of the grandson of Muhammad and the son of Ali, Hussein ibn Ali on the 10th of Muharram, known as Ashura, plays a significant role in 12er theology. This day is annually commemorated with grief and sorrow. Some participate in ritual beating of their chests, as some believe this is a form of expressing the helplessness that comes from a practical inability to have helped Hussein and his small troop of 72 family and supporters. Some hit themselves as a form of emotional and love for the Ahlul Bayt and their sacrifice and martyrdom. In most nations with significant Shia populations, one can observe large crowds in processions grieving over Hussein's death. The events of Ashura tell a story of a leader fighting against an oppressive tyrant, Yazid, who seized power and had committed atrocities against the people of the empire that he had inherited. Another rendering current among some English-speaking Muslims, but without a historical tradition, is, "I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except God, and I testify that Muhammad is the messenger of God." This version relies on a translation of "Allah" as being worthy of worship, something which is correctly said in Arabic but does not translate well into English syntax. 12ers, along with Sunnis, agree that a single honest recitation of the Shahada in Arabic is all that is required for a person to become a Muslim according to most traditional schools. A vast majority of 12ers often add a liun wa liu lla with makron h, Ali is the vicegerent of God, at the end of the Shahada. This testifies that Allah is also the leader of the believers along with God and Muhammad, proof of which Shi'a theologians find in the Quran 555. Though this form of the Shahada is recited daily by other Shia sects such as the Nizari Ismā'īlīs, 12ers view it as mustahab, recommended, but not wajib, obligatory. Taqlid, accepting a scholar's verdict. There are minor differences between Sunnis and 12er Shia in how the prayer ritual is performed. During the purification ritual in preparation for prayer, which consists of washing the face, arms, feet, etc., and saying of some prayers, the Shia view wiping the feet with wet hands as sufficient, as opposed to some of the Sunnis who consider complete washing of the feet necessary. Also, Shia do not use their fingers to clean inside the ears during the ablution ritual. A prerequisite for purification is that one has to be clean before performing the purification ritual. During prayer, it is the Jafar view that it is preferable to prostrate on earth, leaves that are not edible or wood, as these three things are considered purest by Muhammad in hadith specifically mentioning tayammum. Hence many Shia use a turba, a small tablet of soil, often taken from the ground of a holy site, or wood during their daily prayers upon which they prostrate. In the Jafar view, the hands are to be left hanging straight down the side during the standing position of the prayer, while the Sunni schools of thought, except for the majority of Malikis, hold that they should be folded. The Jafar consider the 5 daily prayers to be compulsory, though the Jafar consider it acceptable to pray the second and third prayer, and the fourth and fifth prayer, one after the other during the parts of the day where they believe the timings for these prayers to overlap. The other 3 Sunni schools allow this consolidation of daily prayers only while traveling or under some other constraint. Khums, 1/5 tax. Khums is the Arabic word for 1/5, 1/5. In Islamic legal terminology, it means 1/5 of certain items which a person acquires as wealth, and which must be paid as an Islamic tax. According to Shi'a, the items eligible for khums are referred to as ghanima, in the Quran. The Arabic word ghanima has 2 meanings. Spoils of war or war booty. Gain or profit. The Sunni translate this word exclusively as war booty or spoils of war. The 12ers hold the view that the word ghanima has 2 meanings as mentioned above. The second meaning is illustrated by the common use of the Islamic banking term al-ghunm bil-ghurm, meaning gains accompany liability for loss or risk. Also, in a famous supplication, the supplication after the noon prayer, the person asks God to bestow on him his favors. One of those favors which the person asks is the benefit or gain from every act of righteousness. The word used here is al-ghanima. This is in accordance with the second meaning of the word. Mut'a, temporary marriage. Nikah al-mut'a, nikah al-mut'a, Arabic, also nikah mut'a literally, marriage of pleasure, or saya, is a fixed-time marriage which, according to the Usuli Shia schools of Sharia, Islamic law, is a marriage with a preset duration, after which the marriage is automatically dissolved. It has many conditions that can be considered as prerequisite, similar to that of permanent marriage. It is the second form of Islamic marriage, nikah. However, it is regarded as haram, prohibited, by Sunnis. This is a highly controversial fiqh topic. Sunnis and Shi'a hold diametrically opposed views on its permissibility. But some of the Sunni Muslims recognizes nikah mihyar. Muta existed during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, and during his time it was not prohibited. On this principle, Shias believe that anything that was allowed during the time of the Prophet should remain allowed after. Calendar. 12 Shi'a celebrate the following annual holidays. Eid al-Fitr, which marks the end of fasting during the month of Ramadan and falls on the first day of Shawwal. Eid al-Adha, which marks the end of the Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca, starts on the 10th day of Dhul al-Hijjah. The following holidays are observed by 12 Shias, unless otherwise noted. The morning of Muharram or remembrance of Muharram and Ashura, for Shia commemorates Imam Hussein ibn Ali's martyrdom in the Battle of Karbala. Imam Hussein was grandson of Muhammad, who was killed by Yazid ibn Muawiyyah, the second caliph of the Umayyad Caliphate, and the first one by heredity. One group of Sunni scholars have deemed Yazid to be a kafir, e.g. Sunni scholar Ibn Jawzi in Wafa al-Wafa. Another has stated he was a fasiq, transgressor, a fajir, one that commits debauchery, and a drunkard. Yazid considered nikah, marriage, with mothers and sisters to be permissible and drank alcohol. Ashura is a day of deep mourning which occurs on the 10th of Muharram. Sunnis also commemorates Imam Hussein ibn Ali's martyrdom, but little different from Shias. Arba'in, Arabic word for 40, commemorates on 40th day of Imam Hussein's martyrdom. 40th day is an auspicious day for any deceased as per Islam, remembering the suffering of Imam Hussein and his household, the women and children. After Hussein was killed, they were marched over the desert, from Karbala, central Iraq, to Sham, Damascus, Syria. Many children, some of whom were direct descendants of Muhammad, died of thirst and exposure along the route. Arba'in occurs on the 20th of Safar, 40 days after Ashura. Milad al-Nabi, Muhammad's birth date, is celebrated by the Shia on the 17th of Rabi al-Awwal, which coincides with the birth date of the 6th Imam, Ja'far al-Sadiq. Mid-Sha'ban is the birth date of the 12th and final Imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi. It is celebrated by 12ers on the 15th of Sha'ban. Many Shia fast on this day to show gratitude. Eid al-Ghadir celebrates Ghadir Qum, the occasion when Muhammad announced Ali's Imamate before a multitude of Muslims. Eid al-Ghadir is held on the 18th of Dhul al-Hijjah. Al-Mubahila celebrates a meeting between the al-Bayt, household of Muhammad, and a Christian deputation from Najran. Al-Mubahila is held on the 24th of Dhul al-Hijjah. Traditionally 12 Shi'a Muslims consider Ali ibn Abi Talib and the subsequent further 11 Imams not only religious guides but political leaders, based on a crucial hadith where Muhammad passes on his power to command Muslims to Ali. Since the last Imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi, went into occultation in 939 and is not expected back until end times, this left Shia without religiously sanctioned governance. In contrast, the Ismā'īlī Imams did successfully gain political power with the Fatimid Caliphate. After the fall of the Fatimid Caliphate, Ismā'īlī Shi'ism started to lean towards secular thought. The first Shia regime, the Safavid dynasty in Iran, propagated the Twelver faith, made Twelver's law the law of the land, and patronized Twelver scholarship. For this, Twelver ulama crafted a new theory of government which held that while not truly legitimate, the Safavid monarchy would be blessed as the most desirable form of government during the period of awaiting for Muhammad al-Mahdi, the 12th Imam. In general, the Shia adhere to one of three approaches towards the state, either full participation in government, i.e., attempting to influence policies by becoming active in politics, or passive cooperation with it, i.e. minimal participation, or else most commonly, mere toleration of it, i.e. remaining aloof from it. Historically, Zaydī and Ismā'īlī Shī'a Imams functioned as both religious and political leaders, but later after the fall of the Fatimid Caliphate the Ismā'īlī Imamate became a secular institution. In general, Twelver Shia historically remained secular. This changed with Iranian Revolution where the Twelver Ayatollah Khomeini and his supporters established a new theory of governance for the Islamic Republic of Iran. It is based on Khomeini's theory of guardianship of the Islamic jurist as rule of the Islamic jurist, and jurists as legatees of Muhammad. While not all Twelver Shia accept this theory, it is uniquely Twelver and the basis of the constitution of Iran, the largest Shia Muslim country, where the supreme leader must be an Islamic jurist.